I want to welcome everybody to the February Eye on Piscataway. We have a lot of segments on this month's TV show, from swearing in one of our sergeants to police appreciation, to some clips from the snow event and preparation. Also here at the community center, speaking with Kyle Stroham from the community center, over here the executive director, as well as the visiting nurse association here that is here taking care of the inoculations, and some additional clips, as well as stopping by the 520 Cafe over at the community center. Well, we're over here at the Piscataway Community Center, and I'm here with the executive director of the Y here, Kyle Strohman. And this is one of the few quiet times right now here in the community center. It's always the calm before the storm till late afternoon when everybody starts piling in for the evening sessions and everything like that. But it's now February, and Kyle, what's on tap here for the programs that are going to be going on here at the community center?
As we move into February and have moved out of the January timeframe, we continue to just see growth and expansion. Programming is primarily where we're starting to be able to serve more people. So we've got some great opportunity at some art classes that are going on. We have some dance classes, found some great instructors that really bring top level skills into the center and are able to teach all types of generations. Of course, so many people are excited about the pool area. So as we move into...
I'm gonna stop right there about the pool area. I have to believe people have been totally ecstatic in this cold weather, being able to go into a nice warm area and take a dip in a pool.
You know what, every once in a while when it's a little cooler outside, the first place I stop is the pool. The air is just that much nicer, but you're exactly right. As you see families come in and enjoy this incredible facility, that ability to be together as a family after school in this beautiful pool, burning off some energy, but having fun together. Seeing our swim team, our high school swim team has performed so well this year. And to have a home pool for... So
this is the first full year that season that the Piscataway High School swim team has been using the facility.
Second season that we've got.
Well, the tail end, but this is really in earnest the first full season.
Right.
So what was been the reaction of the high school swimmers and the coaches?
You know, the coaches are, and I should never speak on anybody else's behalf, but knowing that they have one of the top swimming pools in the state to be able to compete with, it just provides them so much excitement, so much energy to what's going on. Then the swimmers, the high school kids, the ones that put in all the effort to represent our schools, our town, our community, they have been exceptional. We just ended up celebrating senior night and being able to celebrate their accomplishments. It's a humbling and an absolute joy. But knowing that you have your own pool, that's been a big plus.
And now they have an official home schedule, which they didn't really in the past. They were in other venues for the home schedule, which is good.
And now as they invite teams in, now those teams have had to, because so many high schools end up using outside pools. Now other teams have had to use this pool as their senior night and some other type of pieces. So now Piscataway is really showcasing and being hospitable to other great
In other words, what
communities.
Kyle is saying, it's becoming a more regionalized pool right there.
Exactly.
Sort of like shared services. So.
Right. And our high school kids, our students, our athletes especially, don't they deserve that kind of experience? And it's fun to be a part of that.
Well, that's great news. So what other programming has been going on?
So again, as I was leading into it, you've got every 2 months, we do another round of swim lessons. So if you missed our January, February session, we now have March, April coming up. We've got martial arts classes that are going on, a number of different fitness classes that are opportunities to be out there. So if you want to push yourself with TRX bands, we've got those, boot camps, spin classes. All of these things are just ramping up each and every day here at the community center.
Now, before we went on camera, Kyle was mentioning to me now the volunteers, they even have pickleball in here.
We do. So as the weather has turned slightly unpleasant to be outdoors to play pickleball, we have a group that comes in on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays in the morning. And this gym becomes 4 pickleball courts. And they compete over the course of time. And that's just a drop-in program. You can purchase a guest pass to come in here. Or if you're a member, you just drop in and participate. It has been a great group of people as this sport that continues to grow in popularity needs a place in the winter months. So we've been happy to do that.
You don't have to be over the age 55 to play pickleball.
You do not. That is the worst misconception. It is good for all ages.
Okay. Now, we're also here on the main court, and the lines are striped for the volleyball, and you were telling me that now that we have volleyball is getting into really in earnest now here.
It is another great program that we were able to launch in 2022. So on Monday evenings, we have open volleyball and have had some great leadership again to be able to work with our younger athletes. And then as it gets into the later evenings, we found that a lot of adults are coming in here, and there's some really, really great pickup games, but competitive pickup games of volleyball. But what I love is everyone seems welcoming, and so anybody can participate. And that's what you want in a center like this.
So when this was originally designed, we wanted to make sure that this was designed for the most multi-purpose use if possible.
Right. And that is something we continue, and I'm so glad you brought that up. As we educate our community about all the different things that we have going on. Of course, if you want to come play basketball and we've got volleyball, that's not exactly, you have a say in that, just like in the swimming pool when we are serving our high school swimmers. But the goal that we should all have is this should be a place for every single person in our community. And so that means we have to have a variety of different pieces. And we promise your activity will be represented. But you just take a look at our schedules. Come onto our website, enjoy us on Facebook. We always have updates that are going on there. And I promise you'll be able to enjoy your activity, your time with your family, all of those different things. But we're gonna have a lot going on inside this building.
Now, you do have on our municipal Facebook site a registration for summer camp already?
We do. Summer camp is here. And
even though there's snow on the ground. That's right.
And that is one of the hardest things for families to think about. We've just started a brand new year, so to start to think about summer can be a challenge, but we really encourage individuals visit our Facebook page, our webpage, and definitely get signed up for summer camp. We've now done 2 summers of summer camp here, sold out each one of those sessions. And so there is limited amount of space, but we see it in the news every day. Right now, our young kids have struggled with those social interactions. We've had to deal with, I don't want to keep talking about the pandemic, but it's here. And that has separated kids, and social skills are something that are something we're finding is so needed. And summer camp is a great way to continue to see the growth of your child in social skills, have you a chance to go and work, and more importantly, your kids have a blast. They're gonna participate in arts and crafts. They get to use the swimming pool. They get to be out in the splash park. They get to participate in games on this court. They're having a great time during the summer. They're being cared for with top quality counselors, and they're growing and developing.
Well, the good news is during camp, whether it's very hot outside, they have the spray park, or they could be in air conditioning here playing inside.
You can't argue. They're always going to be comfortable, and it's amazing.
Well, Kyle, I want to thank you for stopping by Ion Piscataway as always. I know I'm over here all the time, as well as a lot of the other residents out there. So that closes out this segment of the video. And now we're going to go take another shot over in someplace else in the building.
Thank you.
Well, we're here to swear in our newest sergeant, Meredith Robbins. Now, Meredith, would you tell us, the general Piscataway Township folks, who's with you here today to do the honors of holding the Bible?
I'm here with my husband, Brian, and our 1.5-year-old son, Chase.
Who looks very happy to be here on the camera. So, okay, without further ado, will you please raise your right hand? Repeat after me. I, Meredith Robbins.
I, Meredith Robbins.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution.
That I will support the Constitution.
Of the United States.
Of the United States.
And of the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
And of the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
That I will bear true faith.
That I will bear true faith.
And allegiance to the same.
And allegiance to the same.
And to the governments established.
And to the governments established.
In the United States.
In the United States.
And in this state.
And in this state.
Under the authority of the people.
Under the authority of the people.
That I will faithfully.
That I will faithfully.
Impartially.
Impartially.
And justly.
And justly.
Perform all the duties.
Perform all the duties.
Of office of sergeant.
Of office of sergeant.
Piscataway Police Department.
Piscataway Police Department.
According to the best of my ability.
According to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Well, congratulations, Sergeant.
Right there.
And congratulations, little guy there.
I'd like to thank the mayor and the council for their unwavering support of the police department in promotions and equipment. We're doing very well there. So now to Meredith. Since the day Meredith got here to Piscataway Police Department, coming to us from Rutgers, she has worked hard every single day. And this promotion is the culmination of those efforts. I'd like to congratulate you on your efforts during the promotional process. Meredith came out #1 after a written test, a file review, and an interview. And congratulations on your promotion. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure, go ahead. Don't be bashful.
I just wanted to thank the town and obviously the chief and our captains, Captain Morrison and Captain Felch, for your support. And I'm very excited for this opportunity, and I will make this town proud.
Thank you very much.
Well, congratulations again.
We are so grateful for our police officers and all law enforcement who serve to protect us. And we are grateful today to be celebrating them and honoring and appreciating them with a special drive-through at Timothy Christian School. We have our students and our cheerleaders and our school mascot, Timothy the Tiger, out greeting our police officers. We have our faculty and staff and children out waving with signs and special cards that they made for our officers to thank them and let them know just how grateful we are that they do what they do to take care of us. So we just wish them all a very, very blessed new year and safety and protection for all. God bless.
We thank you for all you do.
Well, we're over here this afternoon over at the Piscataway Community Center multi-purpose room. And you're probably wondering what's going on in the background with all these people in these gowns and masks and everything like that. We're very fortunate enough to have the Visiting Nurse Association here come and give inoculations out for the COVID shots here. This is the second time that your organization's right here. And I'm with Fran McCluskey, and she has a very long title. I'm going to let her say it herself.
Yes, hi, I'm Fran McCluskey and I work with the Visiting Nurse Association. I am the Public Health Nursing Project Coordinator, and we are here with our team today, as well as with Global Grace of Be the Change. So we work together to protect the community.
Okay. Let's say, so if somebody has signed up for their inoculation, whether it's their first or second, when they come in the front door, what can they be expecting when they come here?
The first thing they do have to do is fill out an intake form, and we have them register with the ladies and gentlemen up front that are considered our scribes or register people. And so they would sign up and fill out all information about themselves and how they're feeling today so that the nurse can be prepared to ask them questions to move forward on what choice they would like to do on their vaccine, which one they prefer to have.
So now, when somebody has, if they've already said have either the Moderna or the Pfizer or the J&J, can they ask for a different shot, or that has to be the same?
We are here today with all of the vaccines. So we're here with Moderna, adult Pfizer, pediatric Pfizer, and the Johnson & Johnson.
So it's all encompassing here. They've all the approved ages for the vaccination.
Yes, we cover all the way to 5 years old and 11. That's the pediatric Pfizer. And the adult Pfizer is from 12 and up. The Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, you have to be 18 to receive.
Okay. So after they fill out the paperwork and get clearance and they come down the hall, they come into this room. So against the wall are staffs of nurses that give the shots out to the people right here.
Yes.
And then we have some blank chairs. Is this for them to go to sleep?
Right. No, this is for us to protect them a little more to make sure there are no reactions to the vaccine. So we have them stay for 15 minutes for protection for the nurse to observe them. And if they're immunocompromised, they will stay for 30 minutes for protection and make sure they're safe from the vaccine and don't have any allergic reactions. Sometimes people get nervous, and that's what we have to make sure they're feeling comfortable.
Well, I'm giving the seal of approval because I was here in January for my third shot for my Moderna, and everything seemed to run smoothly.
It was a great group. We vaccinated 103 people last time.
Yeah, that's a lot of people to come in within a 2 hours.
Oh, actually, it was 222 here.
220.
It was 222. It was 222 here. Another event we had 103.
Well, that's good. Hopefully we have those type of numbers today, because the whole idea is during the pandemic, the more people that get vaccinated, the better it is for all of us in general and the public. So the sooner we get all vaccinated, hopefully we'll get out of not having to wear a mask and everything.
And we're here to educate them as well. If they have their questions and concerns, today is the day, because we have plenty of nurses here to educate them on their choice.
Well, who would have thought when we designed this building, we did design it as an emergency shelter and also
Beautiful.
as an inoculation site. It was actually designed to be this. So who would have thought that we would actually, after this opening up in July of 2020, that we'd actually be using it first for the Hurricane Ida folks, and then now for during the pandemic inoculation. So
It's a beautiful building, and we're really grateful that it's here for us.
Well, I'm just happy for the people of Piscataway, and even if you're not from Piscataway, coming here to sign up, that we have volunteers, folks who are a company like yours that comes in and does this, because like I said, the more the merrier. And then there's goodie bags outside in the hallway, right?
Yes, they're providing those as well. So it's really a team effort with Be the Change, the Global Grace team, VNA, and all the other nurses that come from all over, from Ocean County, Monmouth County, Middlesex. We all come together to be here today.
Okay. Well, I want to thank Fran McCluskey from the Visiting Nurse Association for stopping here at Piscataway, and we're going to go to our next segment. We're out here in the Piscataway Community Center in the hallway after you get your inoculations with the folks from Catholic Charities who have supplies donated through the Middlesex County Board of Commissioners through the Replenish program. So, and your name is?
My name is Rosela Roman. I'm the Mobile Family Success Center Director. So I'm here with my colleagues, and we have some volunteers who are helping us bag up some food to distribute to everybody who's getting their vaccine today, whether that's a child, a parent, seniors. And one of the cool things is that we brought our calendars. We offer free activities in 5 different towns. So one of them happened to be Piscataway, and everything we do is completely free. Our goal is to help prevent child abuse and neglect by strengthening communities and offering free programs. So you're welcome to check out our calendars. You're welcome to scan our QR code, taking you directly to our calendars and also our social media page.
Well, there you have it. How about that? You get inoculate and you get food and you get some other information on other services that are available here in Middlesex County and Piscataway Township. Thank you on behalf of Piscataway Township for coming out, and also the volunteers for helping out today.
No problem. Thank you.
Well, hello Piscataway residents. This is the calm before the storm for this weekend, that snow event that's coming up. So I'm out here today with the Deputy Director of the Department of Public Works, Jim Ferrati, and also Ward 1 Councilman Frank Earn. And Jim, I thought we'd do is talk to the residents. We have some of the equipment that's lined up here. Maybe we could do a brief overview of what each piece of equipment means when it comes to snow removal here in Piscataway Township, and what the significance of that is. So why don't we take it away with one of the biggest pieces of equipment that we have first?
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah.
Over here we have a tandem dump truck, meaning that it has 2 rear axles, has a larger salt spreader, one of the larger plows. Even bigger than this are the plows on the garbage trucks, which we use to do the straight runs, generally speaking. Garbage trucks and triaxles are for our long straight roads.
So just to highlight, I don't mean to interrupt you, but like for Old New Brunswick Road, William Street,
Centennial.
North Randolphville Road, Drake Lane, Sutton's Lane, Ethel Road, that gives you the idea of the type of streets that we know these big, a lot of the turnoffs on Centennial.
The tandem is a little bit more flexible. We'll send this into some of the neighborhoods. Like I said, it does have a higher capacity salter. In your neighborhoods, you'll usually see your single axle dump trucks and your mason dumps and pickup trucks. They're a little bit more capable with cul-de-sacs, a lot more flexible, and they can generally maneuver much more easily.
So this is a 10-ton truck, correct?
Yep.
Yep. So this is more the mason body normally is done basically where we have about 170 cul-de-sacs in town, and then that doesn't include the actual some of the short dead end streets.
That's right. In order to minimize damage in cul-de-sacs and everything, we really want to try to keep the big trucks out of them. We'll use these little trucks, pickup trucks, mason dumps. They can zip around, they can make your passes in a cul-de-sac and keep things tidier than the big trucks can.
You know, before we go further down the end, I know Councilman Earn, before we went on tape, had a couple of questions about the actual plow there.
Sure.
Yeah, and the wheelbase there?
Okay, so this is an adjustable, we call them snow wheels, and it's actually a newer design or a different design from what we used to use. This elevates and keeps the plow up off of the roadway surface. Sometimes we get calls even after we plow that there's still snow on the roadway. That's because we do leave a ½ an inch or so, because you don't want the weight of the plow riding on the roadway. It'll hit manholes, it'll hit catch basin grates, it'll cause damage to the plow, it'll cause damage to the infrastructure. So we use these. This is one design. This is the snow wheel. It is adjustable higher and lower, and it's generally a nice thing to have. Also, it doesn't tend to wear down or break like some of the different models do.
And then there were also, I guess Frank also had Councilman Ern had a question about the actual.
Okay, so this is your curb shoe. Serves a couple different purposes. Protects the rubber blade because this has a thick rubber blade on it, and it also will protect the plow and the mold board here from hitting the curb. So over time that would actually break down and get ground down by the curb, and we want to try to avoid that as well. Or in the extreme cold it'll shatter because it's just steel.
And they also have, these are on just as, I guess what Jim, we're trying to prevent the snow when they're going
from drifting up and over your mold board.
Like sometimes we get people complaining, oh, my mailbox has been damaged or whatever, depending upon the weight of the snow.
Yeah, and this also helps the driver, especially we're going to see that in this storm with the high winds. When it's dry snow, it will fly up and over and into the windshield, into the radiators, which we want to try to avoid to help the truck driver and the truck itself function to maximum capacity.
This is obviously a backhoe here, correct me if I'm wrong.
That is.
And this doesn't look like a normal attachment here. What is this attachment
This
for?
is a relatively new addition to the fleet. We started to buy them last year. This is a snow pusher box. What this allows us to do is, especially when we're working in municipal parking lots, whether it's the parks or the buildings, we can take much longer runs without losing snow to windrows and push it up into higher piles using one of these. When we have them on the machines like this, we're a lot more maneuverable than
instead of on a normal vehicle.
Truck. They are really, really nice to have, and we have some for the skid steers, the loader, and the backhoe here.
So for instance, for those folks that are watching, if you're a member of the Piscataway Community Center, we use this piece over there and over by Senior Center because of the high traffic volume that we get over there.
Absolutely. This is the most important piece for our parking lot. This is our skid steer. This is another newer piece of equipment. We deployed this last season with that big snowstorm. And it really was like very impressive at the time. This is a snow blower for that. It's hydraulically driven, and this will throw snow 15, 20 feet wherever you want it to go. We use this a lot for the paths, but we also did some curb pushbacks with this and some parking lot cleanup.
So you're saying at the key intersections in town, you came in and did some of that?
Yeah,
right
corners and everything. We can use this to try to get it so that we have room for the next storm to stage snow.
For instance, what the deputy director was just saying, the multi-use path along Route 18.
Yes.
If you ever up on Green Acres, you have multi-use path. Anywhere where we have a multi-use path or a large park, we've been using that there for it.
Last year we had windrows that were 2-3 feet tall of hard packed snow, and this thing got right through it on Route 18, and that's all from the state pushing everything
so
onto
you got to
it.
remember, our obligation is to keep those bike paths open for safety reasons, but when the state comes with their they'll come with a conga line of 10 trucks. And all that snow gets pushed up there, so then we have to come in with this, and that's why this piece is now critical in order to get it up and over and out of the way.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
So, and actually it is a lot better because the person who's operating this now is safely enclosed. In the old days, it would have been an open piece of machinery, which has been extremely cold to operate in. So I think, and then we have a small, I believe, gator on here, and we're going to walk back down.
That's another good little piece
I know
of equipment.
Councilman Ern's normally used to a gator with dealing with the Pop Warner program, but he doesn't normally see a gator with it like this.
With a plow on it.
And the next thing you know, the Pop Warner team's going to want a gator with a plow on the front for the game. So,
yeah. So this is a Gator 625. It's a great 4-foot plow. We use it on sidewalks. We use it on the MUP extensively. And if you pan to the back, there's also a brine tank so that we can take care of the sidewalks, have them brined so that when we have light snow like we're experiencing now, we at least get a day of melt and keeping those walkways open and safe. We actually use this up at the walkways at Town Hall as well.
Yeah.
And it's just another good flexible piece of equipment. In the spring and summer, it can be used in the parks, and here it can be used for snow removal.
Good. So I think at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to stop the tape and we're going to get in the tandem, and so you'll get a view of what a driver will see out the front.
Sure.
So now we're up in the driver's seat of one of the large tandem trucks. Obviously, I don't have the safety belt because the vehicle's not going, but you could see, looking out the front view, even though we're in a parking lot, just think about it during a snowstorm where there's 30-mile-an-hour winds, blowing snow, visibility very low, and a very large truck is coming down the road, and you have all these cars parked on the street where they shouldn't be parked. So this is the hazard that drivers, public works employees face, and plowing operations here in the town, because when we put that alert out to please move your car off the street, it's not done to be a nuisance. It's done for safety purposes, not only for the residents, but a lot of times for the drivers and the public works employees who actually do the plowing, because sometimes they may not be able to see a parked car depending upon how much snow is there. And the last thing we want to do is hit a parked car and have a driver potentially go through a windshield, and or hit a basketball stand that's out in the roadway that shouldn't have been out there, especially during a snow event. So think about going 20 miles an hour during a driving snowstorm with snow flying all over the place. The heater system working fully operational, even when it might be 15 degrees out, you still get some fogging on the windows, and how it could become a very dangerous situation for our employees while they're clearing plowing operations around town. So I wanted to give you sort of a view out here as a reminder, hey, listen, when these men and women are plowing out here, that the fact is it is still dangerous out there, despite, depending upon how many inches are out there, but every storm is different, and that's why we use abundance of caution with our drivers, because the last thing we don't want anybody getting hurt from the public. We obviously don't want any of our employees getting hurt. So, but you can just imagine the weight of this vehicle going down, scraping the road and possibly hitting a raised manhole cover, the damage that it would do to the truck, but more importantly, the potential safety to the driver. So we're over here in the municipal salt dome here, Jim, so you might want to explain a little bit about this.
So this is the salt dome. In here we put about 8,000 ton of salt. We're pretty well stocked. If you want to look up to the top of the pile, we have trucks that dump in here, and then we push everything in and pile it with a bulldozer as high as we can get. And this should carry us through, hopefully, most of this winter.
Yeah. And a lot of this is the new treated salt that we ordered with the new
last 2,000 ton at least.
Okay, so Jim, what's this salt spreader? How does that work?
Okay, so we have a conveyor run salt spreader here. These are all run through hydraulics. This is your hydraulic motor. And this is an auger in here. So that spins, the conveyor dumps the material down onto the auger. The faster this spins, the wider the swath. Okay? So we have to be careful. We have to do calibration. We have to make sure that the speed of this is somewhat matched up to the speed of the conveyor, because you're putting out too little or too much material, depending on conditions. We also have saddle tanks on this truck, and this is a good example of them. These are usually filled with a treatment that is sprayed onto the material as it's spread. And the reason for that is because it'll lower the effective temperature of the de-icing agent. So regular salt might be good till 20 or 15 degrees. Treated might get us closer to 0 degrees. This year we did purchase pre-treated salt that does have magnesium sprayed onto the salt already, and we're hoping that on these colder, frigid storms we realize a better degree of melt.
And this is the first year we're actually using that type of product.
Yes.
So we're gonna find out.
What is this for?
So this big yellow hopper here is how we load up the salt to have brine created. And we make our brine internally here. It's at a great savings to the township. It goes in here and then it is pumped through and water is pushed through to make a mix of about 23% sodium to water. That then gets pumped into our trucks. These holding tanks, each one has about, this has 3,500 and that has 3,500, so we still have 7,000 gallons left made. And we use this hose here to pump that into the trucks. The last storm, we used about 20,000 gallons of brine on all the roadways.
So that was all the pre-treat that everybody in town saw, the lines going down the streets and everything.
Yep. And today, I think, is a great example. You can really see the performance. So there were some tertiary roads that hadn't been hit yet, and everything around them was burned off very nicely. So now we're salting those side streets today.
So how does this piece of equipment work?
This is one of the larger tanks that we have where that brine material is pumped into. And then we have a pump on the back that's run by a pony motor, meaning a secondary gasoline motor. When that's running, we'll pump the brine to this spray bar. And this has nozzles. Some of them are more of a drip and some of them are an actual spray. And that gives a calibrated coating to the ground. And that's what you see all around town when we leave those lines everywhere.
All right, so we saw some of the equipment that the Department of Public Works uses for snow removal. And now we're gonna show you a little high-tech and low-tech here in town. So Jim, why don't you take it away, talk about the high-tech, and then I think Frank has a question about low-tech, so go ahead.
Great. So as the mayor pointed out, we do have a unique blend of modern technologies and old technologies. This is our GPS system. It's Motorola Marvelous. And what this allows you to do right here is all the currently connected vehicles, meaning trucks that are on. And this is actually showing us the locations of the vehicles in the field. We utilize this to make a determination when we have a complaint of they haven't been here in our neighborhood or anything like that. We can actually see where he currently is and kind of estimate how long it will be before he does get back there. This is also useful because we do utilize contractors in town. We can give them portable radios in their equipment. We use backhoes and loaders for cul-de-sacs, especially when we get a larger plowable snow. And that allows us to see where the contractors are and communicate with them regardless of whether they're township employees or contractors.
Councilman?
Is this the low-tech one?
That's my favorite one.
Oh, okay.
So we utilize this map as the guys call in what roads they're finishing up at the very end of the storm. We'll color this in. And then once the map is colored, we can take a quick cursory look and make that determination on if there's an area that we need to revisit, if there are some smaller roads that might have been missed, and we can make sure that 100% of the town is done. In your larger snowstorms, we may always run into that small side road cul-de-sac that gets missed by a contractor or one of our newer guys. And we want to be able to see that that was not done. It was never called in.
Yeah. And then back behind Councilman Earn is a board that's probably about maybe 30 plus years old, and it just shows where our deployment of the personnel during the storm on the board, so they have a running idea who's where. And even though you have high-tech equipment, it's a triple redundancy. And it's for the safety of the employees and for management to know where everybody is, so which is a good thing. So, but you know, as you could see, there's X amount of personnel. Like for instance, over here from the Possumtown, Wynwood area over to North Rand, this section will all be done by private contractors.
Correct.
And they will have the handheld radios. And Jim, you might want to grab a handheld radio and show quick on tape what they're going to get. So they'll all have handheld radios, which we'll be able to see on the GPS in their trucks.
Yeah, so they carry a unit like this. As long as it's recorded with the main station, we can see their location fairly accurately and up to date.
And which helps us obviously keep in check with the outside contractors that are supplementing our normal DPW personnel here. So I think we sort of have a game plan ready for this snow event, depending upon the extent of how much snow is going to be out there. But I'm just asking residents, patience, patience, patience. We historically, Jim, do not go curb to curb until after we find out from WeatherWorks, our meteorology company, on when they view the snow is going to stop.
Correct.
And so normally we allow up to 12 hours to get the entire town to be curb to curb, so to speak. So just be patient. Yes, we do go down the initial phases, make a swipe down the center and back out of streets. That's so for emergency purposes, that if a police car's got to get down or whatever. And then if there's an actual emergency where there's a squad call or a fire company call, they'll see it on the radio. The police headquarters will call over here, and then they'll redirect whatever the nearest plow is to go in and take care of it. So that should never be an issue in that respect. One thing I want to just reiterate again, I'm actually begging the residents, because it's always the same streets and the same cars. Please do not park the vehicles on the street, because it really is an impediment, especially for the mid-sized trucks, to get down some of these streets, because we don't want to do damage to the vehicles. But and then again, so what they'll end up doing is they'll end up skipping that road because they can't get the truck down that road, which penalizes your neighbors and you. So we don't want to have the police department come out and issue a summons, because that defeats the purpose, because we much rather have the vehicles off the road instead of tying up an officer to come out and get a summons, and then they still got to knock on the door of a house to get the vehicle moved in order to get the road plowed. So it ties up a lot of personnel over a simple thing where the car could have easily been off. And in a lot of cases, what we've noticed over the last several years is that the cars that are on the street, and their driveways are empty. For whatever reason, they just philosophically don't want to bring their cars into their own driveway. And that's not right. We spend enough personnel time, OT, depending upon what the event, to get roads cleared so people can get back to normal in Piscataway during these snow events very quickly, and that does not help the situation out. The other thing, Jim, about people shoveling snow out in the street?
That is prohibited. We ask that people don't shovel snow back into the street, and I know that it is a constant frustration of fighting the snow plows to keep your driveway clear. But that really doesn't help anyone, especially as temperatures drop, and that snow you put out in the street might refreeze and create an ice condition. The same premise with people who have plows or use a contractor, cross plowing or pushing the snow from the driveway into the street is prohibited, and on occasion we have called officers if the occasion is particularly egregious. So we please just ask for your participation and cooperation and understanding that we're fighting the elements just like you do, and we don't want to create more work for anyone. Unfortunately, sometimes it does happen when we clear the roads.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I want to thank Councilman Ern for stopping by the preparations, and obviously the Deputy Director of Public Works, Jim Ferrati, today, and all the folks that. So enjoy Friday night, Saturday. Take it easy, stay off the roads, allow our workforce to get the streets cleared, and we'll obviously keep in contact via Facebook and everything. We'll keep you updated when we know what's going on. So with that, we'll take it back to the studio or Facebook. Well, I want to welcome our residents out here to our Ecological Park. Right now it's frozen tundra out here, but it is the new lunar year, so all those that are celebrating, congratulations. But more importantly, I have 4th Ward Councilwoman Michelle Lombardi here with me. I have Gary Oliva from CME Associates and Mike McClellan from CME Associates, and 2nd Ward Councilman Jim Ballard out here, who both wards between the 4th and the 2nd straddle the park. So I thought it was to be a little update on what is about to happen out here. So now that there's been a court settlement with 95% of the family members, the helpers over there, and that now that we have the cleanup costs in place through the judge, I thought at this point, I know Councilwoman Lombardi wanted to start off and ask a couple of questions, and then we're going to have the folks from CME Associates jump in. And I know Councilman Bullard has a couple of questions too, and then we'll give you that update, and then I'll wrap it up. So here you go, Michelle.
Good morning, everybody, and happy February 1st. This has been a long-awaited project of mine, probably since the entire time I've been on the council. We've been going back and forth with this property, and it's finally going to come to fruition. So as most of you know, we are in the beginning stages of this project, and there is some contamination on the property that has to be remediated. So I'd like to hand it over to Mike McClellan from CME to go through a little bit of how we can go about some of the remediation for the project.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, we have done some preliminary evaluations. At this point, we're trying to basically determine the exact horizontal and vertical depths of the contamination, and the remediation will follow after that. So basically, there's been some analysis done initially here, and our next step now is to excavate and determine how deep the contamination has gone and what the width of it is. We have preliminary information, but not the final. What we're going to do once we get that tied down is the plan to create a constraints map, and that constraints map will basically determine where the wetlands are, where the tree save areas are, where these areas of contamination are, and then to design the park that the town's landscape architect has made some proposals on, and an effort to try and build it and around these things and minimize the actual excavation wherever we can, and to save as many trees as we can on site, because that's going to really make the park much better.
And I think, Mike McCollum from CME Associates, I think one of the challenges out here is because of the topography. There's a lot of different elevations change, correct, Gary, out here?
Yes.
And so what we're trying to do at the same time, as Councilwoman Lombardi just mentioned, is that we're not trying to move soil twice. And one of the things you're going to see once this plan, correct me if I'm wrong, once this plan comes to fruition, it then has to go to the DEP, correct?
That's correct.
So that's a requirement by law. So then once, if and when we get a sign off from the DEP, then that's when the final design cleanup costs can be put into place, then put out to bid, and then a contract could be awarded for remediation.
That's correct.
So, and then at that point, you know, we're probably looking hopefully sometime over the summer to be out to bid. And then when that happens, then, you know, people are going to be seeing a lot of earth moving equipment out here with trucks and things like that. Not to worry, it's the park being built, not anything else other than the park, because you know how people on Facebook like to tend to throw things out there and then not walk it back. So is there any other particulars that you want to mention here, Mike?
Yeah, Gary? I think I'm going to ask Gary to go through the list of improvements that are currently contemplated in the park. And basically, there's probably 7 or 8 different attributes. And there's, again, as the mayor said, we're trying to build these things into the topography and also at the same time look at the constraints on the site. So go ahead, Gary.
So we're working with the township on developing a passive themed park to try to maintain as much of the natural environment that you see here today. Like Mike said, save some of the windrows and the trees, and incorporate some of these passive amenities into the existing site, utilizing the topography and the features. So some of the ideas that we're throwing around are experience-driven environmental learning centers. We've been looking at a pond, perhaps a fish pond, some nature trails, walking paths around the park, a dog park, perhaps a themed playground. There's an arboretum in the plan at the moment. Some botanical gardens. What am I missing?
In other words, you're trying to give a lot of work to the Piscataway Garden Club.
And just a reminder, none of these items are set in stone at the moment. These are all things that we have all sat down. We had a preliminary meeting. All of us threw out on the table things that we would like to see in the park. But none of this is written in stone at the moment. Again, we are in the preliminary phases of cleanup first.
We were also thinking of some exercise stations around the perimeter trails.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Gary, because I know Jim Ballard, you like going out and exercising. And a lot of our parks now, if you see like over at Suskin Park and Prime Park, we installed outdoor adult exercising equipment, and that is a big rage in town now. Councilman Ballard, did you have a question of Gary?
Yeah, my question right now is, number one, it's very unique for the community. You know, we have 26 parks here, which are parks for kids, and they can whatever they want to do, right? But this particular one is focused on the community. You know, like you said before, you can walk the dog. If you want to go out, you can do whatever you want here. And I think that's going to really, really make this township even better. So my question is, did I miss anything?
No.
No. That's the theme we're working with. Some open lawn areas, sitting areas, scattered picnic areas for folks to enjoy a lunch in the park. That type of maybe bird watching areas, that sort of thing.
Well, one thing there was to both council members, and I know Mike McCollum knows this, when the county did improve both South Washington Avenue and Mettler's Lane. On the Mettler's Lane side, we did install sleeves for water service, public water service eventually for the park, and then we do have a forced sewer main right here underneath this, under the roadway. So that is in here. So obviously, when you have a park, you're going to have restroom facilities with water. So that was actually thought out prior to any of the design. So at least the sleeves and the connections are there right at the curb line.
Yeah, that's correct. Plus, we need means for irrigation and maintenance inside the park.
Yeah, and I'm sure New Jersey American Water will be happy about that.
Yes, sure. Well, one other thing too, the seniors. You know, those seniors like to get out. You know, we have lots of places for them to go now to senior centers, and now they can go out and do a lot of things. And like the mayor said, they can go out and do whatever that is.
Right.
I do know that we were also, I think one of the opponents that was being punted around is having sort of like a small amphitheater area.
Yeah.
So if you want to have an outdoor event, that would be possible here. You know, you have more than enough room. It's just a question of designing it when everything's under construction. So.
And you've asked us to make it accessible to handicapped folks, and it will be.
That goes without saying. And then if you're a jogger, the whole outer perimeter is going to have 10-foot wide walking paths on the outer perimeter. So it'll be at least a couple miles worth of walking paths.
That's great.
Anything with biking?
Well, that's the multi-use path.
That's designed for multi-use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to highlight a bit is we discussed being able to utilize the trees that are already here on the property.
Yeah.
Several locations, the existing trees are already planted. They called them windrows years ago to prevent wind from blowing through the park. And there's a couple of very nice stands of trees which we plan to incorporate into design and try to work around them. We might have to cross through them, but we'll minimize that wherever we have to.
Great, great.
Now, do any council members have any other questions? Because I know everybody's having icicles grow from their noses here.
I don't have any other questions, but I'm looking forward to the movement. When we get it going, and like you said, 2 years ago we talked about it once, and then all this happened.
The good news, Councilman, is the fact that the design plan is underway.
Yes.
And the telltale sign, once we get a thumbs up from the DEP, that's going to set the time schedule. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike?
Oh yes.
That'll set the time schedule for everything. So we're hoping as soon as we get this down, the sooner, we'll have some time early summer, we'll get it back, that we can actually get this out to bid, and that some construction can actually happen out here on the park during it. And then the good news is that the type of remediation that can actually even happen during the winter too.
That's correct.
Right there. That's
right.
It's not weather contingent, unlike some other construction projects that we do around town. So, but that's a good thought, Jim. Now, one thing is, like, every once in a while, some people call my office. They want to know what the wood pile is over there towards the park corner. That is not actually part of the park. That is two separate lots that the town owns. That is our emergency area where we store wood that's through storm damage. Like last March, we had a heavy storm that came in that we had to clear out. And then once we got enough wood, then basically we have a mulching company come in and grind it down, and then we haul it away to a recycling center.
Okay.
So because otherwise it'd be sitting out in front of everybody's homes, which you don't want that to happen. So.
No.
So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Mike McClellan and Gary.
Thank you, Mike.
Our
pleasure.
And,
Thank you, Gary.
Both council members for coming out here. And
thank
we'll
you
keep
very,
you
very
briefed over
much.
the next 6 months of what's going on, and hopefully we'll see some shovels in the ground to start the remediation process out here sometime late summer.
Okay.
And we're going to make our annual pilgrimage to see what Piscataway Predictions, Piscataway Pete has to say. Find out. What do you got? Looks like 2 notes, Councilman. So,
wow.
Here, we'll give you the first note and you find out what it says.
Little League opening day, Saturday, April 9th.
Well, how about that?
There we go.
For all you people, don't forget to sign up for Little League, right, Councilman?
That's right. Also, the T-Ball opening day is the same day.
Yeah. And as a quick note in regards to that, this year marks the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier into the Major League Baseball. So I do know we're going to have some special events throughout the year honoring that. And that'll have to be, stay tuned for the folks out there to watch those events. And that's in conjunction with the U.S. Conference of Mayors and the Let's Play Ball initiative with Major League Baseball. Yep. So I do see there is another note down here. And I know the Lord knows what this one. Well, I guess we have to go to the betting lines of Vegas here, or Atlantic City. It says the Bengals 27, the Rams 24 for the Super Bowl prediction. So, so that's where we go right here. So I guess so they decided to leave the notes out here, and the dogs seem to be like eating the snow here. So with that, we're asking everybody to stay safe, and spring is around the corner because Little League Baseball and T-Ball is upon us, weeks away. So now I'm here over at the 520 Cafe here, and I'm with Tony, who's the proprietor here of the cafe. And Tony, why don't you tell, and since we really didn't have a formal official ribbon cutting of the cafe, why don't you tell a little about what you have to offer here at the cafe?
In the cafe here, where we started with the healthy food. We start with some acai bowls, papaya, coconut bowls. We do a lot of protein smoothies, a regular smoothie, everything it's made from fresh fruit. Everything it's much organic and vegan as well. And then we had to introduce a little menu for kids. Kids, which, you know, they like to have chicken fingers, French fries. We also introduce pizzas. We do cheeseburger, we do cheesesteaks. We pretty much have almost a full menu available for the cafe here. And it's a very nice location, and it's a very, very nice place to be.
And then of course you had to have some what I call healthy things like a cheesesteak.
Yes.
For those adults who probably shouldn't be eating it. Even if you're not a member of the Piscataway Community Center, feel free to stop in, get one of the smoothies or lunch. We have a lot of people, believe it or not, will swing by and sit down and read the newspaper or on their laptops in here while they're having something to eat here, or they stop on the way home from work if they run in to go work out, and then they come and they grab a bite to go right there. And that's what this is about. And we want to make sure people know the availability of what amenities are here in this building. And from what I understand, I understand that there's people in the morning that come in here in the morning to get a smoothie to go before they go to work.
Before they go to work, correct? Yeah.
With my wife being one of them. So,
yes.
I really appreciate this, and I know the kids absolutely love having the pizza here.
Yes.
And we do have some regulation pizza ovens in there. We're going to give a quick video of that and take some pictures of that. But I want to thank you and Tony, you and your staff here at Cedar Grove for operating this 520 Cafe here, because, you know, it would seem sort of weird if you're going and working out and you didn't get something to go. I mean, it's just the way people operate and
Yes.
go into gyms and things like. They're always looking for healthy smoothies or drinks and things like that. So
That's what we're trying to offer them. The most healthy stuff for them.
well, that's also part of the mayor's wellness campaign to try to make sure people say, man, that's why we built this building.
The hours we operated, it will be 9 to 9, Monday to Friday, Saturday 9 to 4. Sunday, now it's closed, but we already open in the next couple months, so in the summer open.
So with that, I want to close out and thank you, Tony. I want to thank everybody for watching the February Eye on Piscataway. As we close out the show here, I want to remind everybody Valentine's Day is around the corner, and we look forward to seeing you in March, and hopefully spring will be coming around. According to Piscataway Pete, he can't wait for when the Piscataway Little League is opening. So we'll see you then in March.
Thank you.